Well, shit, I just bought a Rotary. Here it is. I bought a RX-8. These cars are known for not being that reliable, as well as many of the downsides being terrible gas mileage. You can probably buy a Mustang V8 and have better range, better gas mileage on one of those cars, and it has way more power than an RX-8. Also, oil consumption. These engines have a built-in function where they have oil squirters that squirt oil to lubricate, well, the apex seals. This is not a typical combustion engine. It's a rotary. It's still a combustion engine, but it's not. It doesn't use any pistons, doesn't use any valves. It's a 13B like in the RX-7, but a little bit different. These came naturally aspirated and without a turbo option. So all the RX-7s, all years of RX-7s had a turbo model. This came naturally aspirated from the factory, but has a red line of 9,000 RPM. Now this little thing can rev, and that's probably a lot of the reasons why people buy these cars is because they're fun, and that sound, it sounds almost like a motorcycle. It's very, very fun to hear and to rev. You could stay in first gear for a while before you have to change gears. I think that's why, that's part of the reason why this car has so much charm to it, is because the sound. I feel like a lot of people buy it for the sound, but not only the sound, also a great benefit of this car is its superb handling and weight distribution. This car has great weight distribution and great suspension. It's known for mountain roads, attacking corners. That's why a lot of people really enjoy this car. This car has 156,000 miles still on its original engine. I have all the original documents from this car from 2007. This is a 2006. I still have all its original documents from 2007, and I have not seen a major rebuild in any of the documents. It's still on its original engine, unless there's some shoddy work done elsewhere, but who knows? The previous two owners took it to Mazda all the time for services. So I'm pretty sure if Mazda had to do a rebuild on those, they would have documented it. Well, that being said, let's take a look at this thing. Well, as you can see here, it's nothing but plastic. Now, one of the neat things I think that this car has to offer is for a 2006, it has electric steering. It doesn't have a power steering pump. It's a benefit because it eliminates power loss from the engine having to drive a belt, having to drive another pulley, and also when this thing blows up, hey, at least you could turn it pretty good. But hey, for a 2003, when these cars came out, no power steering, that's pretty impressive, Mazda. That's pretty damn impressive. You might be wondering, well, if you don't own an RX-8, the hell's under this plastic? Well, I'll show you. What else could it be? There she is, the Rotary Engine, this 13B MSP. Another thing with this car, I've owned it for about a month now. It's very early to me. I'm just getting into the rotary game. I've done some slight repairs to it already, of course. It's an old car. When I bought this car, it came with two trouble codes. The downstream oxygen sensor was faulty, it wasn't reading, and secondary air injection solenoid was also faulty and not working. Now with these two codes, fuck, I couldn't pass smog. So I bought this car knowing I can't pass smog, but I was like, well, gotta learn some way of how to take care of these things. So I replaced both parts. I replaced the downstream O2 sensor, not that hard. The other one that wasn't so quick and easy was the secondary air injection solenoid. Now that thing was a pain in the ass. That thing is behind the intake manifold. You have to take off the plastic part of the intake manifold. You have to take that off in order to get those solenoids back there. So that was my first experience of replacing stuff on the rotary engine, but I also have my next fair share of things that I got to fix. Another thing that's a pretty common issue with these cars is the coolant reservoir. The coolant reservoir has a built-in sensor that lights up on the dash, and well, the sensors go bad. The coolant reservoirs have a sensor built into them. There it is. You can see it as the unplugged. You can see it as the unplugged connection right there. Now those go bad before the coolant reservoir goes bad. If you want that light to disappear on your dash, you either unplug it or buy a whole new $100 and up coolant reservoir, or you just simply unplug it like me. On top of that, well, you have a gauge that tells you if you're overheating or not. So you just got to pay extra attention. That's all you got to do. You don't have to buy a whole new expansion tank, but that is preferred. I want to do it, and I'll get to it eventually. But right now, It's not the biggest issue with this car. It has other things I'd like to fix. Well, as you can see, my tires, this side, are definitely worn. I'm gonna need new tires soon, and that's what's first on the list. And the rear, as you can see, bald. I don't have much tire left. So, that means first on the priority list, new tires. It's one of the first things we gotta do. Well, another controversial topic with this car is premix. A lot of rotary engines, if you didn't know, a lot of people use premix on them. This is to mix a little bit of lubricant in with the fuel, so that lubricant goes into the combustion chamber and it lubricates the apex seals. Now, rotary engines for a long time, have had a natural oil burning design where they have oil squirters that get injected into the rotor housings. So, if it has those, why do you premix? To increase longevity of this engine, it is basically, I wouldn't say required, but recommended to premix this car. Now, when I got this car, I was doing a lot of research. I said, why should I premix? This car has 156,000 miles. No premix. It's never been premixed. I don't know for sure, but what the owner told me is that he never premixed it, and he doesn't think that any of the other owners also premixed. He's not really sure on that. I'm not really sure on that. So, what kind of stuff should you carry in your car just in case? Well, what I carry just in case is I carry the oil of this car, which is just normal synthetic blend. Now, it is recommended you do use the blend. You use synthetic blend on this car. You do not use full synthetic. It's to not increase your carbon deposits. Full synthetic doesn't burn as fast as a blend does. And next thing I use for this car is, well, of course, the Premix. A lot of people use this brand. It's for rotaries. When you go for a fill up, you fill it in first. You can use it if you'd like. It's recommended. For like a whole fill up, I'll use probably like 4 ounces, 4.5 ounces. I think that's plenty. I think that's plenty enough for this car. I don't premix it as heavily because, well, to be fair with you, I kind of drive it like grandma. Use premix if you'd like, or I guess buy an RX-8 and rebuild the engine, see how long it goes before it dies without any premix. That's a good study, but who has that money? Not me. Another neat quirk about this car, as I'm pretty sure you've seen, is the lovely suicide doors. Actually, surprisingly, you got a lot of room back there. I'm like 5'8", and I fit back here, no problem. You just gotta squeeze your head, watch in there, and, well, don't have much leg room, but it's a fucking sports car. Of course, you're not gonna have much leg room, but it's actually kind of comfortable back here. It's not that bad. Of course, it's hot as fuck, and you get no AC back here like some other cars, but other than that, the rear's nice. And well, of course, that being said, why don't we take this little rotary car, this little RX-8, why don't we take it on a little drive and see how it performs and handles? Let's start up the car. This car's been warm. These cars are known for having a hot startup issue. Let's see how long it takes to crank. Now let's take this bad boy for a drive. Of course, you can hear that little rotary engine rev. Now let's hear this thing rev. I don't know fucking anything. I've only had this car for a fucking month.